Now, to transform each one of these into something with a similar expression to the main thunderbolt, we'll have to go through each one of them at a time and apply the same type of treatment that we did to the first line that we had. For that, we'll use a for each loop. Let's just type for each. And you have several options here. They're basically essentially all the same with just some presets already made. And we'll go through each primitive. So each one of these lines is a primitive, and that's what we want to do. Now, the way this works is we'll connect the primitives or our lines here, and this is going to go through all of them. If we don't do anything, we'll get exactly the same thing. Let me just middle mouse button here on the copy to point so you can see we have 5 primitives, and that's what's going to happen. So it's going to go through all of them, and then it's going to gather, in this case, 5. The way you can see what's happening, the easiest way is for you to go to the block end, this for each end2, and we'll turn on the single pass here. And this just means that it's only going to go through the primitive 0. Okay, and that way we can see exactly what's happening. Now, for each one of those, the first thing we're going to want to do is resample. Essentially do exactly the same thing we did here. So we resampled, then we applied the distortion, and then we did a couple more stuff. So let's do that. Resample. These are very small, so we're going to need a good amount of resolution here. Let's go with 0.004, something like that. A lot of points. This should be enough. Let's see, we have 47. Maybe we need more. Let's go with 0.002. And then we want to apply the distortion. For the distortion, I'm actually going to go up here and copy the attribute VOP that we had before. Control V, let us place it here. Now, of course, the scale of this line is completely different than we had before. So we will need to do a good amount of adjustments here. Let's make sure that we don't have any amplitude on a small noise. Let's make the small noise at 0, because it's easier for us to adjust one thing at a time. The other thing we need to keep in mind is that we had this ramp to control the amplitude, and right now we really want to make sure that the other tip, is affected 100%. The only point that we don't want to see affected is the base point. Okay, that one should remain in place, so this should stay at 0. We don't need this one. Something like that. Now let's adjust the frequency of the big noise. Let's go with something like 444. Let's reduce the amplitude, something like 0.2. So let's say this would be the shape, maybe 666. So this would be the main shape. And then we would add the small noise with a much higher frequency. Let's go to 60. And let's say we have an amplitude of 0.05. Okay, maybe a bit too strong. Let me reduce the roughness here. And maybe the amplitude is still a bit too much, 0.02. Okay, I think this is enough distortion, maybe a bit more, 0.5. And the other thing is the width ramp. We're also going to be simplifying it, so the bass can be a bit, let me just pull all this up. So we're using the same ramp, so we know this is the bass, and we want the bass to be a bit thicker, and the other tip to be a bit thinner. So let's use something like this. And the maximum width needs to be much smaller as well. Let's 0.4, something like that. Now, if we apply this to all of them, and for that we just need to do the single pass. So now we have all of them. And what's left for us to do is to make sure that we apply the polywire. So let's polywire. And let's say that this polywire will take into consideration the width. Okay, and this is what we get. Let's increase the divisions here. Let's go to the camera, see how thick this is. Might be a bit too thick as still. So let's say maybe 0.003 maximum thickness. And yeah, we have this, should work. So now that we've gone through all of them, we can actually merge this with what we had before, the main branch. Actually, it seems like the order of the orientation was wrong. So it seems like here on the distortion, I actually want this to be thicker and this to be thinner. And I also want the distortion to happen on the other end. So it's something like this. Cool.